समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
तू पानी बंद करेगा तो हम सांस बंद कर देंगे. The crowd swayed listlessly in the Lahore heat, perhaps to keep off the flies, as the anthem threatening to choke India's breath blared out through low-grade loudspeakers. Light up your phones to welcome this man of courage, the hero of Kashmir, the conqueror of India. The sweat-drenched compere shouted over the music, a miserable remix of aging disco-era Bollywood. Finally making his way through a swarm of selfie-seeking fanboys, Sajid Saifullah Jatt emerged on the stage in Lahore. The appearance of the jihadist icon, a carefully crafted message from the Pakistan army. 18 years ago this summer, then Lashkar-e-Taiba commander in charge of operations in southern Kashmir's Kulgam, Saifullah had dramatically escaped across the line of control together with his new bride Shabira Kuche. From his home near Kasur in Pakistan, the National Investigation Agency alleges he now leads forces which have harried Indian troops, executed dozens of civilians and conducted the communal massacre in Pahalgam. Then on 28 May, just 2 weeks after the 100-hour India-Pakistan war set off by the carnage in Pahalgam, Saifullah was on a public stage, vowing jihad without end against India. And that's a warning that India's cruise missile attacks haven't coerced Pakistan into ending its covert war in Kashmir. Even though New Delhi believes the punishment it delivered has drawn new red lines, deterrence can't be inferred from conjecture. The harm one adversary considers unacceptable might not be so for another. To conclude that some degree of deterrence has been secured, evidence has to be sought in the real world actions of the adversary. And for now, there is no evidence at all that ought be giving India comfort. Far from hiding their links with terrorists, as Pakistani officials were compared to do after 26/11 or the war of 2001-2002, high officials have given slain Lashkar personnel state funerals, joined their functions, and allowed the organization to hold processions across the country. Even before the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan-based journalist Kunwar Khaldun Shahid reports, Lashkar leader Nazir Ahmad told a gathering in Muridke that, and I quote, "The ideological offspring of Hafiz Muhammad Saeed will continue his jihad." Earlier than that, Lashkar co-founder Amir Hamza, internationally sanctioned for his role in raising terrorism funding, delivered a sermon in Muridke urging, again I quote, "jihad against the infidels." Lashkar leader Rizwan Hanif, speaking in Bazar Khaygala of Ravla Court, urged followers to prepare for, again I quote, "our jihad against the cow worshippers." Even the Speaker of Punjab's Legislative Assembly, Malik Muhammad Ahmad Khan, shared a stage with members of the Lashkar's political front this week, praising its jail chief Hafiz Saeed and promising it future support. Little doubt exists that these public declarations of support cannot be taking place without permission from the Pakistan army. 2 years ago, facing this risk of sanctions from the Multinational Financial Action Task Force on Terror Finance, Pakistan had jailed several key Lashkar terrorists and pushed its activities underground. Today, jihadist groups, not just the Lashkar but also the Jaish-e-Mohammed, have been freed from their cage. There's no knowing just yet what ends Field Marshal Asim Munir, who served as Inter-Services Intelligence Chief during the 2019 Pulwama attack, is seeking through this escalation. The commander might see it, I'm speculating, as retaliation for Indian support for secessionists in Balochistan. He might, on the other hand, be securing his credentials as a hawk among other generals who's displeased by his decision to hold on to power for 5 entire years. Located at the peripheries of Pakistan's national project, Islamism was to have a profound effect on its evolution. The state Jamaat-e-Islami leader Abul Ala Maududi argued, and all that it contains, I'm quoting, and all that it contains belongs to God who alone is its sovereign. This kind of language was soon appropriated by the Pakistan military. The 1962 constitution of Field Marshal Ayub Khan's regime established a council to enforce legal compliance with theocratic rules. The War of 1965 saw fallen soldiers for the first time being hailed not just for their sacrifice for the country, but as religious martyrs. Following the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971, the tensions over Pakistan's identity grew even deeper. The new Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto increasingly relied on religious polemic, and his 1973 constitution made Islam the state religion. These institutions and norms would flourish in the regime of General Muhammad Ziaul Haq, who recruited Islamist groups to support his campaign against the Soviet Union. The Ahl-e Hadith, the religious order from which the Lashkar flowered, interestingly was not among them. Founded in the mid-19th century by Nawab Siddiq Hasan Khan of Bhopal and Nazir Hussain Dehlavi, the Ahl-e Hadith claimed lineage from the ideas of the anti-colonial cleric Shah Wali Allah. The sect's members, largely landed elites who had experienced downward mobility during British colonial rule, blamed their plight on what they saw as the decadence of popular Islam. Elements of the Ahl-e Hadith, known as the Tehreek-ul-Mujahideen, participated in the anti-colonial jihadist operations in the northwest frontier province, historian Lal Baha records. Their strength, this was in the 1920s, rarely exceeded a few dozen men though, and their base at Chamarkand was largely ignored by colonial forces. The organization may or may not have also played a marginal role in supporting Pakistan army-backed irregulars who attacked Kashmir in 1947. The Ahl-e Hadith soon split into several factions after Pakistan's independence though, each focused on building seminaries and mosques across Sindh and Punjab. From the work of the Lashkar propagandist Amir Hamza, we know some young Ahl-e Hadith seminarians began pushing for something more active to join the jihad in Afghanistan soon after the Soviet invasion. Led by Abdul Kahar from Sargodha, a small group travelled in 1977 to Afghanistan, followed by students from seminaries in Gujranwala and Faisalabad. Then in 1983, 2B Lashkar deputy Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi took another group of volunteers from Gujranwala to the Nuristan area in Afghanistan, where there was an old Ahl-e Hadith presence. The push to form the Lashkar though came from Hafiz Muhammad Saeed, an ethnic Gujjar who had moved from Lahore during partition from what is now Haryana. Teaching at the International Islamic University in Islamabad, Saeed came into contact with Afghan jihadist circles through Abdullah Azam, also a teacher at the university and Osama bin Laden's biggest mentor. Later, during a 2-year stint at Saudi Arabia's King Saud University, Saeed was introduced to the powerful Saudi cleric Sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz and tapped the jihadi donors around him. A one-time convert from the syncretic Barelvi sect, Zafar Iqbal, together with Amir Hamza and Lakhvi, formed the core of Saeed's new jihadist organization, the Markaz-ud-Dawat wal-Irshad or Center for Proselytization. The organization's rise, it's important to note, wasn't predestined. Two influential Ahl-e Hadith figures, the political scientist Samina Yasmin has written in her authoritative book on the Lashkar, held out against this jihadist current. Sajid Mir, not to be confused with the Sajid Mir involved in the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, another Sajid Mir, continued to dominate the religious infrastructure of the Ahl-e Hadith. Eminent Ahl-e Hadith scholars like Hafiz Abdullah Bhavalpuri and Hafiz Muhammad Yahya Aziz also chose not to participate in the new jihadi group. Following the founding of its first training camp at Karer near Tangu in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in February 1990, the MDR's armed wing, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, began funneling small numbers of fighters across the line of control. It focused more than fighting though on recruitment. Giant rallies were held in 1995, 1996, 1997 at the Lashkar's campus near Lahore, which were addressed over the phone by Osama bin Laden himself. The group used the deaths of its cadre in Kashmir to draw more volunteers. As historian Maryam Abu Zahab has written, the funerals were treated as celebratory occasions, almost like marriages, where the slain terrorist was identified as a divine groom joining the Houris in paradise. Literature produced by the Lashkar claimed the killed terrorist would be able to intercede for his loved ones at the gates of heaven. From the outset, the Lashkar made no secret of its fact. Its objective was the annihilation of India, not just the capture of Kashmir. I quote, "Through the jihad waged by the Mujahideen people of Pakistan, and particularly those from Lahore, we would soon be able to visit and enjoy the real Chamba and Shimla," Amir Hamza cheerily asserted in 1999. Later that year, the cleric Sheikh Hafiz Ahmad wrote that, and I quote again, "Hindustan is the worst infidel in the world. Those idolaters are even worse than the infidels of Mecca, as they have millions of gods." This kind of language, as we've seen, has also been infiltrating Pakistan's official discourse. Inter-Services Public Relations Director General Lieutenant General Ahmad Sharif Chaudhry has spoken of a fitna al-Hindustan, suggesting India itself is a legitimate target in an existential religious war. Field Marshal Munir, journalist Elia Zehra points out, has also used similar motifs. In one speech he made in April, he proclaimed being, I quote, "different from Hindus in every possible aspect of life. Our religion is different, our customs are different, our traditions are different, our thoughts are different." To this, he added the proposition that the Islamic kalima, or profession of faith, was the foundation of the state of Pakistan itself. Ideological wars are unlike all other kinds of war because they seek no strategic or political ends. Islamabad has known since at least 1965 that it simply cannot take Kashmir by force. And yet, it persists in waging a war that seems to have no end. That's because to give up the conflict would mean giving up the idea on which the project of Pakistan actually rests. To prevail in this conflict, India needs weapons, but it also needs a powerful idea it is increasingly at risk of itself losing sight of. The idea that nationhood can be built on something other than irreducible religious hatreds. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm contributing editor at ThePrint. Thank you for watching this episode of Security Code.